So in the comments, I'm just curious very fast. Earlier today, Jimmy Mackin shared a strategy that I know all of you are going to do. And the strategy is that email that so many clients have sent out this year and done in text and done in social that says, would you like to know how much your equity has gone up in 2023? I want to see in the comments how many of you are going to send that email out to your entire database, do it in social and everything else. Hey, do you want to know how much equity you gained in 2023? So, Jeremy, you see this? Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. And I'm getting blown up on my social, Jeremy, with people that are watching that in an office with 25 people, right, at their office, hanging out with their team. So I've asked my friend Jeremy Davis, I'll do a little backstory. And I got to do it quick because we're a little over on our time. His mother was a real estate agent right here locally in North Dallas, came home frustrated one day to her husband and said, honey, this whole math thing with real estate is very challenging. Now, I know as I say that to you as a friend, you'll giggle and say, yes. I mean, it's sometimes hard when they're like, well, what happens if the interest rate drops to this? And should I buy now or should I buy later, right? Like all these sort of conversations that really require a pretty quick mind and a lot of math. I jokingly say most agents aren't that great with math until I say, what's 2.75% of 497,000? Then you're like, bang, you suddenly have that number magically in your head. But Jeremy's dad, as a minister, said, I'm pretty good with the computer. And he was able to create a calculator for his lovely wife. Now, the company is called Palm Agent. It is a free app, Free, free app that all of you can download. And he'll give you the scoop on that today. It is the one app that when my little sister got into real estate, when my son, Steven, now selling homes in Hoboken, I'm like, you need to download this app today. So when a buyer says, hey, if I look at already somebody, best freaking app, I use it all the time. It's free. We're going to give you guys a QR code. You're all going to be able to download it. Jeremy, my son, Steven said, Dad, I don't know how an agent would operate when someone says, hey, if I would have bought 2 years ago, what would have happened? Or if I buy today, what should happen in the next 2 years? Kind of the, should I wait for rates to drop? He goes, I go on the app and I just go click, 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 click here. And you just show them the math. So you could see people freaking out like it's the best app of all time. So Jeremy, I gave you a little intro. Please take it away. Share with them in kind of, 10, 12 minutes what the app does, how they should use it, because they're all going to send this thing out and they don't know how to give people how much equity they gained in the last 12 months. And your app does it. So my friend, take it away.
Tom, thank you so much. What a great intro. And yes, this is both my parents. My dad actually ended up getting his broker's license in the early 80s. So I've grown up in a real estate family and I've now spent 20 years. This has been my whole career and I love the space. I'm not that great with math, surprisingly. And so I relate to a lot of you. I'll say two things. Most agents don't get into real estate because they love math and numbers. That's just true. And maybe it's a deterrent. We get through the math part of a real estate exam and never look back. But it's impossible, especially nowadays with interest rates doing what they're doing. And our consumers are getting more educated and they're searching online more and getting more information, even if it's incorrect information. It's impossible to get around math and numbers. And yes, my mom was frustrated with it. And that was kind of the birth of these calculators in Palm Agent, but it's grown to so many cool things. And I have a couple new things I want to share with your users today. As I'm looking at the speakers today, I've gotten to know so many of your friends and part of the community. It is overwhelming. Like there's so much good stuff and you're giving it all away. And I'm gonna underwhelm everybody. This is gonna be easy, but it's more like a workshop. I would like to download this with everyone. Chris, if you could put the QR code up. This is gonna be something. There's two calculators that I want to make sure everyone has on their phone in the real estate industry today, because I know you're getting these questions. And we've tried to make this very user-friendly, very easy and free, and make sure everybody has access to them because we do care about the industry and care about the community. And we want to make sure that we can help solve or play a small role in solving some of these problems. So a couple things that we're going to go through today. We're going to cover first the Palm Agent name. We work with a lot of your title partners. So if you have this app through a title company already, we've worked with them to get your local data, your local closing costs, your local fees. use that app. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then download Palm Agent and we'll help direct you with one of our local title partners. And that's kind of how we distribute it across the country. But I would like to go through the app and you kind of do it along with me today. I think it just works better. So go on, download the QR code, go ahead and go to your app store, Android, any of the app stores, and download the app and create an account, because going through this with me today will make all the difference in the world. Secondly, a little disclaimer, because this always kind of comes up as we do webinars and seminars. We have a few 100,000 users, so a lot of you already have it. But one of the things we've seen is, as I'm going through this, I'm going to use local numbers here in Dallas. Your numbers are going to look different, most likely, unless you're here in Dallas. So as you see it, just to save all the comments of my numbers look different and my numbers are saying this, we actually build in the local closing cost, taxes, fees, rates, all of the rules around how a closing works and how taxes are paid for all of your local markets. So your numbers are going to look different than mine. I just kind of have to put this out there. And then last, I'm just going to show you the two calculators that I think right now play the best based on the questions we're getting from our buyers and sellers. So let me just throw my phone on. I'm just going to actually put my phone on the screen and mirror it up here. And if it's okay with you guys, I want to go through a couple of these together and just talk about them. So let me connect. And here we go. Perfect. Hopefully everybody can see this screen. This is Palm Agent. It's got buyers programs, sellers programs, and then we have a button here called calculators, and that's kind of where we group everything else in. And just like Jimmy said, I've watched this in action. This text message, this email around an equity review is really powerful right now. It wasn't powerful in 2009. That wasn't the play to run in 2009. Right now, it is the play to run. And I'm watching you guys across the country successfully get hand raisers of people saying, yeah, I'd kind of like to know. The market's been a little crazy. What do you think? How much equity do you think I have? And then I'm talking to Jimmy and I'm talking to Tom, and I'm like, okay, well, then what are we doing next? And so it's like, okay, we're going to do a CMA. Okay, we're going to ask them some questions. And then what do we do with the people that don't respond? They're in our database and we're texting with them. Like, how are we going about doing these equity reviews? And I think maybe we could help. We'll build a simple calculator. Again, I am born and raised in Texas. Simplicity is my middle name. We try to make this stuff really easy. But this button up here on the top left, it says equity review. Just want to walk you through and show you what we've built, because I think it's quite exciting. And this is kind of the next step to kind of bridge the email and the text with actually an application that you can deliver to your clients. So it has a couple questions on it. It says, what do you think the current value of the property is? So I'm going to say, I think the house is now worth 7.25. And I sold it to them. So I know, or I've looked it up, that they paid $565 for it. Okay. So everybody, this is your training. Hopefully you're doing this along with me, but you don't really have to go back to the video or audio, because we've made this pretty simple. And then the last question says down payment. I put 10%. If you didn't remember, you can just say, assuming a 10% down payment, here's how much I think you should have in equity right now. The last question is the loan balance, the payoff. If you don't know this, I don't know it on my house. It's not one of those things that I know what I paid. You guys have done your research and you know what you think it's worth, but how much do they owe right now? That's going to be a key component to actually figuring out their equity. So watch this. This is really exciting. Up here at the top, we've purchased the data where on over 90% of the properties that are in the MLS, this will work for. Put in an address. Let's see, I'm going to use one here locally. Southlake. No, it's actually Grapevine. Grapevine, Texas. Let's see. Oh, did I miss an S? Let me add that back in. I love live. This is live. Anytime there's technology, there's always a, okay. 533 Austin. Oaks. There we go, Grapevine. So what it'll do when you plug the address in, it's going to search the records and it's going to say, we see a loan was recorded for 427,500 in February of 21. So we're just going to give you this information. This is a new feature we call Home Link that we've built directly into the calculator. I think this is really cool. It also says if you see below interest rate, if you don't know the rate, because again, we're not necessarily locking in a loan or quoting their equity. We're trying to give them an idea to further along the conversation. But taking this information of the loan that was recorded, and it says the average rate that year was 2.94. So if you don't know the rate, it at least gives you a clue. I'm going to say I know they got it at a 3% rate just for this demo. And then hit compute and watch what it does. It knows how many payments were between that date and now. And if they've made their payments on time, they should owe about $400,702. And if I want to use that as part of my calculation, it will just plug it in. Now I'm going to put numbers back in, 625. They paid 525 and then hit compute. And honestly, even with a technical glitch, in less than a minute, you have an idea of, I think they should have about almost $225,000 in equity. Your clients need to see their number. Do this for yourself. It's important to not know that they have about 100,000 or about 200,000. When they see their number of 224, they don't know this took you a minute. They may have, you had to do the CMA, so it takes longer than a minute, but they don't know how easily you're able to get this information and deliver it over to them. Up in the top right, I'm going to hit the share screen. And I want to pull this up, and it gives you something like nice and formatted if you wanted to text this over to them. I would be sending 10 of these a day. It's amazing when clients now are thinking about the 225,000. They're going to bed and they're like, hey, you know what? That's a little more than we thought. That's 50,000 more than we thought. Does it make sense to maybe make the move now? They're saying that appreciation is going to keep happening and rates are going to go down. And it's like, this is their number. They will always be glad to see it. And with the amount of effort it takes, I would be blasting these out to everyone. I would marry it with the text message and the email that Jimmy provided earlier. So we built this, it's in here. I wanted to make sure you have it. The second calculator that I would make sure everyone has access to is another new one we created within the last 90 days, which says buy today, or do I wait and buy in a year or two when rates drop? Because I think that's where most buyers find themselves. I had this conversation with a friend a month ago, and he's under contract on a house. I know personally, this helps talk me off the fence when I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of emotion in the market. It's easier just to wait. So this is a cool calculator that all it asks you is home price. I'm going to put in 675. Okay. And then we make some assumptions. You can change into these defaults if you'd like. As you can see, we built in local taxes and closing costs and stuff for your area. So you can just leave it as it is, or you can go in and tweak it if you want to. But just by putting in a home price of 675, it shows you here's what the total payment would be, and here's what the total closing costs would be. So in 2 seconds, we say we didn't invent math. We've just made it easy. We've tried to make this stuff digestible for your clients and easy for you to access. Here's a quick payment. Here's a total bring to close. We started this. It's called Palm Agent. We started it on Palm Pilots. I remember these calculations took like 20 seconds back in the day for those Palm Pilots to be turning around and doing all the computations. Math is hard, but especially in real estate, there's so many variables that I get why it's not everyone's favorite thing to do. But this gives you the payment and closing costs. But here's what I wanted to show you. As David showed on his slides, almost everyone is saying the next 12 months houses are going to get more expensive. And I've even seen on social media the whole thing about renting is cheaper. What does that even mean? It's like renting might be cheaper depending on the house. However, if you're ever going to own a home, today's the best time to buy. So rent a house for 2 years and then wait and buy a house and pay so much more. And like the equity, there's just so many more things that go into that equation. So if you believe the equity story, I'm going to just simply swipe over on the screen. And this is the new component we've built in. The first slide just says, hey, here's that 675 house with 3.5% appreciation for 24 months. Again, I'm such a big believer because I've seen it my entire career. They need to see this number because 3.5% appreciation doesn't seem that bad until you see, oh, I don't want to pay this much for that house. That might price me out of this neighborhood. Like seeing that working against you is not you having to tell anyone. Just show them on your phone. Hey, I got this cool calculator. I just wanted to show you. We can go in and look at the scenario that you were just talking about. And here's the numbers that kind of help you land the plane. So I can say, what would it look like at 3 years? What would it look like at 2 years? That's 3.5. What would it look like at 5% appreciation? What would it look like at 2% appreciation? So play with the numbers. We're not trying to steer them in any way. That's the good thing about math. It doesn't have a lot of emotion attached to it. It's just facts. And then we come through and give you a little quick, here's what the experts are saying for appreciation over the next 12 months. And oh, by the way, at the very bottom, it says the historic average for the last 42 years has been 4.92%. If you see that at the very bottom. So to me, that may be all you need to do. Like do some equity reviews and show this screen. However, we add one more in here. If you swipe over one more time, we say, what would it be like to lock in the price, buy the house today and refinance if rates do drop? Because that's really the question. Okay, if I think prices are going to be more expensive in 2 years, but rates are going to come down, what if I bought now and refied in 2 years? So we run that scenario for you really quick. It shows you what your payment would be buying today and refining in 2 years. If rates came down just 1 point, everyone's saying by this year, there's going to have a 5 in front of it. But again, here's a slider. Play with it. What if it dropped down to 5? What if it dropped to 5.5 or 5.25? Paying more for the house is going to cost you more per month. If you can buy today and lock in the price and refi, then you're going to save about $600 a month. And the kicker of the story is this is the difference in just 24 months of getting that appreciation. And even if you paid a higher rate for 2 years versus waiting and locking in a lower price at a higher, lower rate at a higher price. It's almost $50,000 difference on just a $675,000 house. So these are the two calculators that I think everyone just needs to have on their phone. I know these questions come up, and this gives us a better way of maybe addressing some of those questions and concerns. And again, play with Palm Agent. We've tried to do this for every scenario you can think of. If someone says, I want to spend $5,000 a month, how much house can I afford? If someone says, I'm selling my house, how much am I going to net? Everything that has to do with numbers, we've tried to make the easiest calculators in the industry. And Tom, I'm so thankful for your friendship and your partnership and you promoting this to the industry because it's we're becoming some mathletes out there now. I love seeing everyone talking about it and how they use it. And even me, who's not a math person, it makes me look like I'm decent at math. And maybe I look even a little bit smarter, which is easy to do for me in front of my friends and neighbors when I'm talking about numbers.
Jeremy, again, just, God bless your dad and your mom and, for coming up with this crazy idea and Palm Agent for the Palm Pilot. I was watching just the comments. People are like, this is insane. Now, it is a free app. You should download it, right? Just go to the App Store, type in Palm Agent. You might find it under Palm Agent 1. You might find it under a myriad of like Chicago Palm Agent, Fidelity. You're going to find it a bunch of. Just get the app. The free version is bananas. I'm a paid subscriber. There is a $10 version.
Not everybody's rich like you, Tom. We have $1 a month version for all this other stuff that it unlocks.
Yes.
I'm amazed that everyone's been giving away all their content today, and I'm going to push mine. Pay the $1 a month. Trust me, it's the best.
Yeah,
$10 a year.
It's bananas.
It just bananas. Unlocks. We spend millions of dollars buying all the data, pulling all the content, building all the marketing materials. But your support and belief and excitement has really been incredible for us. So I thank you for that, Tommy, and your whole community.
You got it, man. We appreciate you. All right. Well, we got to switch to Christy Jenks because one of the things, speaking of this beautiful app, because you're going to use it a bunch, is how are we dealing with buyers and buyer agency today? I've got Coach Christy Jenks. So let's bring in Coach Christy Jenks. I see her there. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of people saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is a fantastic app. So Jeremy, love you, man. Appreciate you so much. All right. So
Love you,
Coach
Tom. See you soon.
Christy,